Okay, that was mildly stressful. Yeah, kind of just a casual live. Good. Okay, it's up. Good. Awesome. Hello to anyone here. I was just like mildly panicked because I didn't have a thumbnail, and every picture I was trying to use for a thumbnail kept saying that it was too big of a file, and I was like, oh no, I have to make a thumbnail, and I forgot I had to make a thumbnail, and I was like kind of like getting anxious. So that was fun. But we're in a casual attire today. Hey, Fisherman, how's it going? I know I'm actually live. It's been like 2 months since I last went live, so this is gonna be fun. How are you doing? Yeah, good. That is good. That's good. Live. I haven't been live in a while. It's kind of. I've uploaded I've been awake since like 5:45 this morning. Although I did fall asleep in the afternoon, so that helped. But I've been awake for a long time, so I get bored, and then kind of like when I was sick with COVID, I just like edited a shit ton of videos, and then yeah, I know. Yeah, you're pretty much our for right now. Maybe some other people will trickle in, but for now it's just you and me. But yeah, I haven't been live in a while, and it's a little weird, kind of in a way. I don't know how to get back used to it, but I'm probably gonna be live for about an hour, I think, give or take, and I can show you guys some stuff. I have some things that I've recently bought that I haven't really put into a haul really, but I can just do it on a live stream in a sense, like that's fine. We can talk about that. Some of them are books, so book stuff, and then some of it is from a little bit past, just a month ago, and I also have like bullet journal spreads and such, and we can talk, we can do some sketching, we can just chill and chat. That's the theme of this. And I was saying something else, and then I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, I've been just uploading a shit ton of videos, so that's been fun. So. Yep. So what to do is the question. I actually got I think within the. Are you drinking iced coffee? Kind of, yes. There's actual ice in it, and which I'm sure I'll be chewing on later. And it's like my dad got it at work. It's like a mocha coffee kind of thing. So it's pretty tasty. So I'm having that. I was gonna get a frozen coffee because the frozen coffee's back at Dunkin'. It went out for like about a month. I thought it was gonna be gone for like a lot longer than it was, but it was out for like a month. So frozen coffee is back and it's a thing, which I'm excited about. And yes, it actually is quite delicious. It's pretty nice. I forget what brand it is, but I can look into it later. But yeah, and frozen coffee's back, which is happy times. And I was gonna get one today, but then I was just editing for like 6 hours, and then had like breakfast at like 1 in the afternoon, and then just never got out. So. I have to hide it like in the corner of one of my chair's legs, because otherwise if I put it anywhere towards the floor this way, I always wind up spilling it. So I have to like hide it on myself to like reach a little bit further, but no spillage. So don't like spills in this household. Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know if I would ever be able to just like on the fly get a shot of like deer and such, but any next time I try to see a deer or something, I'll try to get it on film. It might be like a crappy like phone footage, but I actually did on my phone. I actually have some lightning storms that happened and over like one of the lakes, and it was really really cool. It wasn't like raining and it wasn't like a thunderstorm, like there was no thunder, but like it was just lightning and it was really really cool. I got footage of it at like midnight one night after work, and it was really cool. And I have to still get the footage from my phone onto my computer so that I can plop it all together in a video, and then maybe even do like a long version of it as well to like sort of like visual ASMR, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. Yeah, the wildlife video was pretty good. I'm thinking I'm gonna film with Mokies on Friday or do something kind of out in nature. I have an old like Great Quarantine Outdoors hiking video that I did with my friend David from legitimately 2 years ago. And then I have another one that I did by the lakes from like 2 years ago. I had a little bit tough talking in that too, so I've kind of been avoiding that part of it, but I do have some extra footage as well. So some old footage, and then I'll make some new footage. We actually had a big thunderstorm yesterday, and I really should have filmed for it, but I was like, nah, I'm in editing mode. Like I just want to edit and work on like videos to like edit and then upload, and then I wasn't really in the mood to like film or like to go outside in it or anything. But next time for sure. So I don't think we've ever had moose around here. We definitely have deer, but I don't think we've had a moose. But a few snapping turtles. But... Oh yeah. What are you in? Are you in America? What state are you in? Are you like up north or not? That's cool. That's cool. Moose are pretty big. Yeah. Moose are pretty big. Oh, okay. Yeah, you are up north. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, I think they might get moose. Yes, moose in Maine is a thing. Or meese. Is it meese? Meese, moose in Maine, definitely a thing. I've seen that. It's like a funny news like interview sort of thing, and it's Turdy Works. This woman up in Maine who collects like moose turds and like makes them into art, and it's just like a comedic kind of thing, and it's a really funny like I've seen the video and the interview and like a couple of like news blooper like compilations, and it always makes me laugh. She has the one with like the moose turds, and it's on like a wooden clock, and it's 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. Like, it always makes me laugh. But that was funny. Oh yeah, yeah, I imagine so. Like they're pretty big. They're pretty big. Do you guys have train? I mean, I imagine you'd have trains in Canada, right? I don't know enough about trains. I know because I've definitely been on a few trains where like we hit a deer. Like definitely that happens, but yeah, I don't know. But, there are trains, yeah. That's cool. Trains are nice. I like trains. There was actually a story that I was on I don't think it was it might have been Inside Edition, like their channel on YouTube, and there was actually a story like about a month ago where a train, one of the Red Line trains in Boston actually kind of not crashed, but had a fire broke out, and it was like over maybe up in Cambridge, and it was a bridge, and then it stopped, and then there was a fire, and then people were freaking out. One, I heard, at least in the comments, I don't know if it's how factual it is, but I heard from someone that one lady jumped out of the train, like people were jumping out of the windows and stuff like that, like trying to get out, and one lady jumped into the river down below, hailed a taxi, and then just went to work. like so wild. But I was like surprised, because at first, like when I looked at the video, like I was like, there's no way that's in like, you know, close to me and stuff. But it was in Boston, and I was like, wow, that's wild. But it was actually kind of funny too, because in the background of the video, not like funny, but like in the background of the video, there was a commuter rail that went by one of the purple trains, and I was like, ah, yes. The difference between the purple train and like the red line, or like, you know, the regular subways, sort of like a class difference in a sense. The commuter rail is a lot more like fancier couches and like just like a fancier vibe, versus like subway is a little more sort of just like, you can find a lot. I mean, there's also like equal amounts of trash, I would say, on both in a sense, but like it's just a little more rundown, I guess you could say. And I remember having to take like the red line or the green line. Orange line is pretty. Yeah, it appears you are the only one. I know. Yeah, but this is like one-on-one time, right? But yeah, I tried to announce it a couple days ago, but I don't know. I didn't announce it on Instagram. Maybe I should have done that. That probably would have helped. Next time I'll do that. But I tried to announce it in like a video description before, but I also started a little bit late. Aw, thanks. I appreciate that. That's cool. It's really nice talking to you too. It's nice to see you around. I haven't been on Discord very much. I've talked to my friend Anne a few times. I've been wanting to do more on Discord, but I'm in that kind of loop where I'm like, oh, I have to read about like that mental health group you shared with me. I'm like, oh, I have to read the rules before I post anything, and I've just been stuck in that predicament for like 4 months, maybe, I don't know, 3 months, however long I've had a Discord for. I haven't actually utilized it, but I'm hoping that I'll get into it soon, because that would be a fun place to kind of just try to network a little more. I've been trying to be more on networking. I was networking a bit yesterday, so that's been good, and that's been helpful. And I'm also getting into shorts now, except I have been doing a lot of like not vertical shorts, so oh, nice. That's awesome. That's good. That's really good. Fishing and hunting, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I went fishing one time with someone, but I don't know. It was kind of an odd experience because he was trying to hit on me a bunch, and I was like, no. It was actually really weird because there was one part where like he went fishing. I brought him over to one of the lakes, and he went fishing, and then he was like, oh, because I had met him in one of my I don't think it was a psych class entirely. I think it was just one of my classes. And yeah, we like decided to hang out like outside of school one time, and he was like legitimately told me, he's like, oh, you know, you don't really, you know, it's really, I don't think he said brave, but it's really like cool of you to like hang out with me because you don't know if I could be like a serial killer or something. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, what the fuck? It was so weird. And then there was actually one part where, because I think he drove down to me to meet me, and then we were pulled over by one of the lakes, and he was like, oh, do you want to like, okay, trigger warning, do you want to like suck my dick? And I was like, no. And like, it was so weird. I was genuinely like, I'm like, if I have to make a run for it, I think I can make it home. But yeah, it was weird. And then he actually kind of tried to like, he was like harassing me a little bit after, like a few months later or something, like over the phone and like over text message and stuff. And I actually reported him to like the university and stuff like that. Like, it was a whole thing. But yeah, I know. It was wicked. It was honestly pretty freaking weird. And I think definitely, I think I actually told him, like, he was like, oh, would you want to be like boyfriend and girlfriend? And I was like, well, you have a dick, so no. I don't swing that way. But yeah, it was really weird. And then I remember I had to like report him to like for harassment or something. And like at the university because it like freaked me out and it was weird. I actually made a blog post later about it because I said he messed with, I think it was like he pissed off the wrong girl. I think that was my blog post about it on my WordPress. So yeah, it was wild, but yeah, that happened once. What were we talking about? What were we talking about? It's really good to ask that. I hadn't been to a support group in a while. I have been wanting to go to like some of the OCD support groups. I thought you had a boyfriend. I had a partner, but now they're my ex, so no. But I'm also gay. I'm a gay ace. I just recently came out as asexual, so which is fun. But I actually am gonna do like a video on that in the future, but I haven't done it yet. So I only found out like in July. Well, I mean, I have been questioning for a few years, but I have officially been like, yes, ace. So no, I had a partner before who was, yeah, thank you, thanks. But yeah, I had a partner before, but they used they them pronouns, so it was more of that kind of thing. But yeah, I actually got. Oh, I was gonna wear my asexuality. I was gonna wear my asexuality T-shirt that I got, but I didn't change out of my pajamas, so I was gonna wear it for this live stream. I'll do it some other time. Aw, thanks. Thanks so much. But yeah, I was gonna do. I was gonna wear that. I actually I ordered a book. Ooh, shit. Where did I put it? I have these little pins. I'm gonna probably put this, I think, on my backpack. I have this Loki one from like forever ago that I got at like, I think I got it at Hot Topic, and then I ordered this little pin. I found some like good like videos and like a couple articles and websites about asexuality and stuff, and so that's how I kind of figured it out. So I had a little ace pride flag. So I'm gonna put this on my backpack, I think, or maybe on my like gay bag or something. Yeah, this is my NAMI shirt. It's the NAMI Walks shirt. I got it this year for the NAMI Walk. And I went to the NAMI Walk. I did the video on it and everything, and the footage and such, and nature footage, and then like text kind of telling some of my story. Yeah, NAMI definitely helps a lot of people. I've been a proud volunteer with NAMI for the last 6 years, so it's definitely been super helpful. And I never really thought of it as volunteer work until like this year when I've been at work at Althea, and people have sort of been like, oh yeah, like volunteer work. And I was like, I never thought of it as volunteer work because I get like a little bit of money from it, like a little stipend. Thank you so much. I do get like a small stipend from doing advocacy efforts, so I never really considered that volunteer work. But then now that it's come to my attention, I'm like, yeah, that's volunteer work. So I actually did I taught the peer-to-peer class, which is a good reminder because I have to set up for my availability for fall this week. But I taught a peer-to-peer class back in fall 2019 in person, and then I taught one this year in about May to beginning of July online. And it went pretty well. It was the peer-to-peer class, so it's like peers living with mental health conditions teach a class that's 8 weeks long for other peers living with mental health conditions, and there's like SMART goals and like psychoeducation and sort of the biology of the brain and like making longer goals and like different relaxation techniques and sharing stories and like, advocacy stories and everything. Yes, absolutely. Peer support is definitely really huge. I know I'm actually happy to see I do peer-to-peer, and then I do inner own voice presentations, which is like the if you don't know, or for anyone else out there who doesn't know, inner own voice presentations are sort of like a guided presentation. There's like 3 sections now, because there used to be 5, but now there's 3. It's what happened, what helps, and what's next. And you go to different, you get trained for it, you get a small stipend for it, and you go to different locations for different audiences, like in person. There's more in person, a few more in person ones now, but also there's a lot of virtual ones. And you can teach at like sort of talk, share your story about it in those 3 segments, share a video, do like a Q&A for the audience. Audience can be like university students. There are ones that are, yes, I'm gonna come back to that comment, but there's like universities or inpatient units. So for staff members who work in an inpatient psych unit, or for patients working, well, patients not working, well, I guess they're kind of working on their recovery, but patients like going through their, psych hospital stay, police officers. There's also branches of different similar IOOV programs, like Ending the Silence, which is more for like high schools and like middle schools. And then there's like a bunch of other ones. And then other audiences like workforce, definitely the universities, like, PhD students, or like nursing students, like psych nurses, or other things like that. There's so much. There's such a good range. I was trained for peer-to-peer originally, I think in the fall 2016, or maybe 2017. And so but I didn't teach until 2019, and then again in 2022. I would say I don't really like the online format of it, like the online sort of version of it. I'm a lot more of a physical, like I need it in like my physical, like something I can hold on to in a sense. Like I'm more like need something tangible. So it was a bit hard in that sense. But I think if I also maybe this month, if I actually go through all the like handouts and like actually fill them in and more on top of it, might be more helpful for me teaching it again in the future. So, which I probably will wind up doing in the fall. So, but yes, you said you want to be a certified peer support worker, certified peer specialist. Yes, that is something I also want to get into. But I think I've looked. I have signed up for one of like the emails about like I think it's like in Massachusetts at least. It's like the Kaiva certified peer specialist people and programs and stuff. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. This is like an ego boost live stream, but it's good. I like it. I appreciate it. But yeah, eventually I want to do that. I'm really enjoying my current job, Althea, working at the psych hospital. I really, really enjoy that. So I probably will be. I think I was thinking of doing the psych hospital work for about 2 years, but I think now that I'm in it, I'm probably going to keep with it for probably 5 years or so. And I've been there now 10 months, so that's been interesting, very interesting. But eventually that would be the next goal would be to go into. I work in a psych hospital. Yep, I work in an adult psych hospital setting. Yep. I've been doing that for 10 months, and I love it. I only work 24 hours a week, but I absolutely love it. And it's also really great because I get to work in the place that was so beneficial for my own recovery as a patient. And I finally found the paper. I knew I was there twice at this location. I knew I was there twice in my recovery, once in June 2015 and then once in March 2017. And then I knew I was there another time, but I couldn't figure out when or what hospitalization it was. But I finally found a paper of mine from like the discharge paperwork, and I was also there in September 2016. So I was there 3 times as a patient, and now I get to work there, and it's like fantastic, and it's so I absolutely love it. Like it's so good, and I finally excel at my job in a sense, because in my previous job, my the residential that I worked at Amaryllis, it was more of like a lot more life skills, and I don't have a lot of life skills. So this job doesn't really have like the cooking aspect. There's cleaning is more so like maybe wiping down tables or like cleaning up the beds and such to make the beds, but besides that, it's not a lot of like life skill. I mean, I can figure out the laundry okay and everything. Yes, it absolutely definitely depends on the nurses and therapists. And I find I've also, like, I've been hospitalized myself. I've been, I think, 4.5 years now I've been out of the hospital system, which is awesome. And I was going somewhere with that. I definitely find there's like 3 factors. It's like whether, like, where you are in your own recovery journey, who is also on the unit as patients, and who works there as staff. Like, those are like the 3 different factors. There's definitely some psych hospitals that are definitely not helpful, and can be, traumatic and just difficult and a shit show. I definitely can think of a few of those off the top of my head from my own experiences. At the same time, I still believe that psych hospitals do serve a function and a purpose. And, the main goal of a psych hospital is for restabilization, to either the person is suicidal, the person's homicidal, the person is going through medication adjustments, or maybe mania or psychosis, or just an intensity of things. And it's just a place to start the process of restabilization. Like, definitely not everybody. I think it's more likely, a lot of people fear when they go to psych. I'll read that in a second. When a lot of people go to psych hospitals, they think that they'll be there forever. They'll keep me forever. It's actually more likely, at least in Massachusetts and at least in the US, that they'll probably kick you out. Insurance will probably kick you out before you're actually ready to go. That's more likely than keeping people for months. I mean, it definitely depends on the severity of the case and all the different diagnoses and the different struggles. I have seen, even as a patient before and as a worker now, I've seen people, stay for a couple months or so, or like if they have to and everything. And we've definitely seen some like readmits and everything, like people who've been there before and like kind of got caught in the revolving door of the psych hospital setting, unfortunately. But also, it's definitely like working at a psych hospital is really meeting people kind of at their worst, and definitely wondering about them, like once they discharge, like, I wonder how so and so is doing, and like just hoping for the best, and maybe seeing them again, like if they get readmitted, but also just having some faith that they're okay doing their thing, kind of like, I guess, me in a way. Like, eventually I have been out of the hospital for 4.5 years now, and life is a lot better, and now I get to work in a psych hospital setting, and I get to be, it's definitely, I actually want to do a short about it. I'm going to do it on my phone, like to film it as an actual short, but I want to I want to do words to describe working in a psych hospital, and some of it's going to be kind of like the intensity of it, and just anger, and like the high emotion states, and just how draining it can be, and sad too. And then also all the parts of it that are so meaningful and so important, and getting to be a positive force in someone else's journey, and just the sort of inspiration behind that, and just the meaningfulness of it. So now I'm going to read your comments, because you definitely said a few things. Yeah, honestly, medications can do an amazing amount of help for most people. Definitely not, medications don't work for everybody, and everybody's different. But yeah, like, definitely, yeah. That's awesome that you've been out for 2 years. That's awesome. That's great. What are psych hospitals like in Canada? There's like, I wonder if there's different, I mean, there's probably differences, but I wonder how it is. Absolutely. I think your comment, you got to remember, there are people out there who are struggling. Wait, hold on. They're out there they're struggling a lot, and those people are amazing people, and they're going through hell. Absolutely. That's definitely how it is. You definitely, at least for me, working in a psych hospital, like, definitely you can see people, at their most hopeless and their most just intensity of struggling. And at the same time, like sometimes there are cases, especially those with the psychosis or, you know, deep chasms of suicidality, they do, or they can potentially by the end of their stay, they can actually brighten up and like be able to have insight and have awareness of their own selves. And that's also really beautiful in a way too. It's yes, psych hospitals can be scary and frightening, and there's a lot of misconceptions about them, and also they're very meaningful. And it's nice to see certain people click with each other more, and get to open up with each other, and just even as a worker, just knowing that you're doing meaningful work. Obviously not everybody's a good egg in a sense, but just try to roll with it and get through the shift, and know that you'll have a few days off afterward. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know. It honestly, I definitely care a lot. I think because of my own experiences, I obviously can't say my own experiences there, of course, that wouldn't be appropriate in the situation. It is also interesting though too, because with doing advocacy work for the last 6 years, I kind of eroded the sense of what is personal information versus public information. Like, I, because so many people would treat or think of, even with the stigma with mental health and everything, might think of uh, sharing mental health experiences, conditions, experiences, and their story and things as more private information, things to only tell certain people. And I've legitimately almost for maybe once a month for 6 years, relatively so, um, you know, when my recovery was better in some spots than others, less rocky in some aspects. But for like 6 years, I've been going to random people, strangers I don't know, and telling them my story and telling them, my darkest times and what got me through it and what helped me. And so I guess doing that for enough time, I stopped seeing it as private information, and it's just very public to me. And it's actually kind of funny too, because I thought about it the other in the last month or so. I thought about it, and I was like, I genuinely have written about my experiences in recovery to a university newspaper. I did that for 2 years or so. So it's definitely like not something that I am ashamed of, and I think also having gone through um yes, type of recovery I'm going through. Honestly, I also want to do a short on that too. I will answer that in just a second. Honestly, I really appreciate your engagement today. That's really fantastic, and been wondering for a while. Yeah, so there's like three different lines of thought I want to go into. Um, what was I saying before that? um, yeah, I guess just like treating it as I've treated private information as very public information for so long that now I don't really like it's just I've just been so open about it. And I definitely got more open about it, I think, because having gone through the scoliosis stuff when I was a teenager and being really ashamed of that and being very closed off and not talking about it and avoiding it, um, I knew what that was like. And I think that also a really big lesson I went through with the scoliosis when I was a teenager was I realized that if there's something I can do, I should do it, because doing nothing isn't worth it. And that was a huge lesson, because for 3 years I wasn't treatment compliant with my own physical health condition stuff. So then I think later, when I finally 3 years I wasn't compliant, and then I got to the point where I had another spinal fusion, and then I actually had to wear my support brace, or I guess I could have not worn my support brace, but I got really into it. I wore it, and I probably overwore it, but I did that, and I kind of moved on from that sort of segment of my life. And then when I was in college, I struggled with procrastination, like really bad procrastination for a while. Then I started having mental health condition symptoms. And then when I was 21, I got diagnosed with OCD on self-harm and suicide obsessions, which meant that I didn't have genuine intent of hurting myself, but I would have intrusive thoughts of hurting myself that caused a lot of distress and caused a lot of compulsions that I would do for hours at a time. And so that began 8 years ago. That began my mental health recovery journey. And I, it's kind of weird to think it's been 8 years already. It's going to be a decade soon, which is so weird. I got help early on, which was fantastic. I started having symptoms in college when I was 19, but I wasn't diagnosed till 21, and it didn't really explode until when I was 21, because I didn't know I was living with a mental health condition, and then I lost my whole identity to it, and then, which is what I did with the scoliosis as well. I lost my identity to it. I lost control over, as a teen, I lost control over my physical health and my physical body, and then as a young adult, I lost control over my mental health. And I knew what life was like before having a mental health condition, and I could see myself having more symptoms of OCD and losing what that sort of mental wellness, mental clarity was without a mental health condition. So that was even a process of loss as well, and trying to come to terms with acceptance. And it was actually in that semester that I saw my first NAMI presentation, and that's how I wound up getting into NAMI. Later, a couple of years later, I got into it, and it was so impactful to hear other people's stories of how they went through. I mean, I think the presenters that I listened to went through dissociative identity disorder and a lot of suicide attempts and self-harm. Absolutely, yeah. For early intervention, yeah, early intervention is so important. So preventative measures are so important. Psychosis is tough. I think I feel like psychosis is one of the worst things. Obviously, the severity can depend on the person and in life as well, but I think it can be really tough because a lot of the time, at least in the psych hospital that I work at, when we have people who are dealing with psychosis, they're they're more isolative, they're more self-dialoguing, out loud to internal stimuli. They don't tend to go to groups as much. They just kind of don't seem to get a lot out of it, which is really unfortunate and sad. Also, it's interesting too because I work at a unit. It was only a few years ago that now people can have iPads and cell phones and laptops. I mean, the cords obviously get locked up in a particular place, but people can be on their phones and stuff. When I was way back when I was in the psych hospitals, in and out of them, we couldn't have cell phones and stuff. So it's interesting to see that. And you see also, at least I see people, because they can have their phone and they're really relying on their phone, they'll just spend the day in their room on the phone, not interacting with other people or socializing or going to groups. And I don't know, it's just interesting how things have changed. So I was telling you a story. So yeah, I saw my first NAMI presentation, and that really inspired me, and it gave me a lot of hope that I could get through what I was going through. And it honestly, I think probably the combination of early intervention. Yes, the pictures thing is definitely an issue. We've had a few issues with that, even as I've been there for the last 10 months, because of the confidentiality and privacy issues and such. But yeah, there are some patient iPads they can have, and then they can have their cell phones, and they can use their laptops if they need to. They just have to, it has to be charged in another place or whatever. Sometimes people can't though either because of how they're using the internet and things like that. Sometimes there's sort of interventions within that as well, treatment oriented ones. But overall, people when they first get on the unit can't have cell phones unless there's a special order for it. But eventually, once they go up to the next sort of level, in a sense, of how we at least do it at where I work, then they can go on to having it. Thank you. Appreciate that. I am glad I'm doing well as well. So yeah, NAMI presentation when I was first diagnosed was super helpful. It always made me wonder even when I did become suicidal, later in my recovery, I always wondered what if I got better tomorrow, or next month was better, or a year from now things were different, and it always gave me pause. And I think because it was always really oh, the pig unit? Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we call it like level 1, and then there's level 2 afterward. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. What was I saying? But anywho, yeah, so like when it came to like sorry, I had another thought in my head. I think for the majority of my recovery from 2014 to about 2018, the beginning of 2018, it was always really an OCD issue. It wasn't really, it's like I didn't want to act on it, but I was in so much emotional pain, and I didn't want to feel that, and I wanted to avoid those feelings and avoid the thoughts. And so I guess I don't think, because when I was suicidal, I don't think I had the capacity to know that ending the situation and essentially ending all of my life was as final as it is to outside people, in a sense. So I think I was just so much more focused on, I don't want to be feeling this, I don't want to be thinking this, and I don't want to be constantly fantasizing about it and having all these symptoms of it. I don't think I really realized, like, oh, I'll never be able to listen to a new song, or watch the next Marvel movie, or go, travel to Japan, or write a book and publish a book, and like, do all of these things that I wanted to do. I wanted to do those things. I was just so caught up in my symptoms that I couldn't see a way beyond that symptomatic point. And I was like that for a few years. And when I was yeah, honestly, yeah. And hopefully I'm not being triggering in any way. Let me know if you feel triggered at all, and I can like tailor this back in a little bit. But yeah, yeah, it is definitely like, suicidality is definitely a big part of my recovery, and the struggles I've had. It's okay. Okay, good. I'll put a trigger warning on this later, once the live ends, when it goes up on the channel. But yeah, it's definitely a part of my story and a part of my experiences. And again, like, suicide obsessions versus suicidal thoughts are two different things, because one's from OCD and one's from like a depressive standpoint, at least. And when I first developed the depression, it was more suicidal thoughts and such, which happened right around the time that the winter break happened, when I was first diagnosed with OCD. So into end of 2014 into the start of 2015. And then 2015 to 2018 is when I started getting hospitalized. Because for me, because so much of my struggle was from OCD, I would tell on myself so much. 11 times out of 12, I told on myself. I got myself hospitalized. I was active in my treatment. I didn't want to act on the thoughts. Ultimately, it just felt like there was no other way to get through it. And also, a therapist, when I was at Passages, at my long-term day program, I was there for a couple of years, they actually said how suicide was the ultimate avoidance. And avoidance is a coping strategy I've had all my life. And I never thought of it like that until they said it. And I was like, holy shit, that totally makes so much sense. Like, it was the ultimate avoidance. It was, how do I avoid these, overwhelming thoughts and feelings? If I just, take my life, I won't have to deal with that, in a sense. Thank you so much for saying that, Fisherman. I really appreciate that. And I'm so glad that you're still here as well, and that I hope that we don't, if we ever have to deal with it again, that we're able to get through it and know that there are better days ahead, and, recovery is possible. that treatment is out there, and sometimes it can be really hard to get, sometimes it can be almost near impossible. There is always a better day ahead though, and there's, you know, just a, yeah, no, you're absolutely, yeah, like these are hard topics, these are hard things to go through, and it sucks so much. And a crisis ultimately is time sensitive. It is something that will end. It will not last forever, even though it feels like it so much in that moment. And it can be so emotional and so difficult. It will pass, and thoughts and feelings in a mindfulness perspective are like clouds in the sky or leaves on a pond. And just notice that I am not my thoughts, I am not my emotions, is a level of distance that with more treatment and time can provide. And just to notice that, like, I mean, I don't do it as much anymore, but I still kind of avoid a lot again. But overall, if I allow myself to feel that shitty feeling for 20 minutes, that's like the end of the crisis. Like in like 2017, yeah, oh, that's interesting. I wonder who your friend was. But yeah, like, I mean, when I in 2017, when I used to have a crisis, I would go into sort of like you know, I wound up, I think it was 2017, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Heart's love. Oh my gosh, Heart's love. How is she? Is she okay? Annie, right? Oh my gosh, I miss her. I miss her so much. I have wondered about her, and I still have like comments and stuff from her and things. And I think I think I replied to most of them. But honestly, I miss her so much. Is she okay? Where is she? Like, oh yeah, Annie's doing. Oh good. Oh, that's so good. Is she gonna come back? No, I love her so much. Oh my gosh, she's wonderful. Um, that's all. That's really exciting. I didn't. That's. I'm happy now. I can go on happily. But yeah. Oh yeah. So I've wondered about her for a while now, but I didn't know how to get in contact with her. You don't know if she's gonna come back. If you message me on Discord if you have her contact info, like her username or something somewhere, I would love to get in contact with her as long as she wants to also. Like, but yeah, like she's so sweet, so wonderful. I miss her. But where was I talking about in this story? I was diagnosed with borderline in 2017, like fall 2017, which I didn't know about. I found that out years later from my psychiatrist. He's like, oh yeah, they diagnosed you with borderline. And I was like, oh really? Oh, I didn't know that. But I mean, I always kind of like had like traits or tendencies to it, so it all kind of made sense. But DBT helped a lot with that, dialectical behavior therapy, and now I'm. So my point was, when I was in 2017, I'd have a crisis or I'd have a trigger, and then I would go into crisis and I would be unstable mentally for like 3 or 4 days. And ultimately, if I let myself feel it now, the crisis and the feelings and the urges, and not act on them, you know, then I can see, and I allow myself to feel them, I allow myself to have the thoughts, I will have a crisis for like 20 minutes. And so that difference is night and day. And, you know, it's still, you know, nowadays, in the last year, I'd say it's a little bit harder because I don't always want to feel it, and I don't allow myself to feel it, and so it kind of lingers. It's one of those things like fighting quicksand. So it's like, if you, the counterintuitive thought is, if I fight the quicksand, I'll get out. But if I just let myself like get loose, I'll actually be able to get out better than if I'm fighting it. And that also probably goes in a lot into OCD as well, because OCD, the more you fight the thought, the more you fight the intrusiveness of it, and try to, like, you know, push it away, avoid it, or do compulsions to alleviate it, which only helps for a little bit of time, it doesn't help for long term. The more you do that, then the more it, sorry, I'm using these statements, but the more it kind of continues and feeds itself and sort of goes into a cycle in a sense. So finding ways to break that cycle and to actually do like an exposure and ERP about it, and and do the treatment for it will help, because the more time the person can sit with the anxiety or sit with the distress that the OCD causes, the less the anxiety or distress will be over time. And so that's ultimately the goal. It's not to fight the thought or to push away the thought or to resist the thought or anything. It's just to kind of be like, sit with it and just be like, I'm having this thought. This is just the thought that I'm having. These are just the feelings I'm having. I control my thoughts. Yes, existently, yes. ASMR, distress tolerance. Yes, absolutely. And just like tolerating that distress and just being able to, have the thoughts and such and not have to act on them, because actions and thoughts are two different things. They're not the same thing. Which is also why, for when it comes to psych hospitals, if somebody is starting to act on suicidal thoughts, like researching methods online, accessing methods, finding a place, picking out a time, giving away possessions, like mentioning, joking about suicide, laughing about it, things like that. Like that was something that I did a lot. And absolutely all those things, like those are actions. Actions are things that can be get a person hospitalized, I guess you could say, because that's a lot different than just thinking about it passively or thinking, what if I just, turned the wheel of my car and went into a tree kind of thing. Like that's different than if I turn it at this angle at this time. Like, that requires a lot more thought and a lot more intention, whether that person intends to act on it, especially today or tomorrow. That's a psychiatric emergency, and that does require a hospitalization a lot of the time. Unfortunately, and I think this is something that I have thought about as I've been working in the psych hospital, I've had this sort of realization a couple of times where it's sort of unfathomable to think of how many people who act on their suicidal thought and complete suicide that never get to go to the hospital to get help. And a lot of that too is from the stigma around mental health, and just kind of people being afraid of what Joe down the street will think of them if they say that they have depression, or they say they live with a psychotic disorder, or they say that they have an eating disorder, or whatever. And it's so sad to think that we lose so many people, and that it is such an epidemic. And I don't know if you could call it a pandemic, but I mean, it is a worldwide issue. Suicide prevention is a worldwide issue, a public health issue as well. And just to think of how many people we lose when there could have been another way. And that actually brings me a little bit into this recent fiction novel that I read that I'm going to have a review on at some point. But for right now, I'll just jump back into the comments because a lot has happened. Sorry, I'm in a rambling mood, I guess, and just kind of like being really open. It's like a mental health check-in in a sense, but mental health for like over the years in a way. So let me back that. I'm glad that she's doing good. Annie's doing good. I'm glad about that. BPD is really hard. It really, really is. It's a horrible issue, and there's so much stigma related to BPD as well, even within like mental health professionals. Like it actually has, I think, the second highest suicide completion rate. It is really, really hard. Yeah. I actually, schizoaffective bipolar type, I actually am doing I'm doing a fan fiction where one of the characters has that, which I still need to research. I still don't know a lot about psychosis. That is something I haven't quite started to shift my focus into learning more about that. But one day I would like to, because I definitely could. I know someone also with schizoaffective, and we've had patients and stuff too with schizoaffective, but like, I know one guy who has, that I taught peer-to-peer with before, who has schizoaffective. It's also interesting how much bipolar in general will also have psychotic features, or even like psychotic depression too. There's also that. Yeah, distress tolerance, I know. Yeah, definitely having to sit with those thoughts and feelings. It's like, I don't want, but yeah, it's just gotta get through it. I think, what's that Robert Frost quote, you know, the only way out is through, in a sense. Yeah. I'm glad that you only get passive ones. I hope that stays the truth for a while. And just know, if you ever do have active suicidal thoughts, or you don't feel safe, or you think you need a hospitalization, it is not a sign of failure at all. And it is you taking care of you. You know, suicidal crises are psychiatric emergencies. It is the equivalent of a heart attack. You wouldn't just be like, oh, I'm having a heart attack, I'll just like, you know, I don't need to get a hospital. It's fine. I don't want to bother anyone. I don't want to be a burden. Like, you wouldn't do that. You would go to the hospital. You'd get help. And psychiatric setting is much the same. Like, it's not going to be the ending of the story. It's the beginning of the story. And, you know, again, maybe it depends differently in Canada, but like, they won't keep you forever unless there's reason to. And also, like, it's more likely you'll get kicked out before you're ready, in a sense, than being there forever. And also, it just helps to, you know, yeah. Suicidal thoughts are definitely treatable, yes. And in the beauty of recovery, I'm finding more and more that life and recovery is that duality. Again, that dialectical behavior therapy, in a sense, the dialectic of two opposing thoughts occurring and existing in the same space. So life is beautiful and life is horrible. And or I want to live and I want to die. Like, it's the two opposing things. And so much of recovery is that duality. And yes, that is absolutely true too. The mental health, like, beds issue, absolutely. Even in the US, like in Massachusetts, I mean, the worst part is going to the ER. Like, at least in my experiences, and what I've also continued to hear from patients and stuff, is that worst part is like going to the ER and them putting you in a room when you're in the psych portion of the ER, and they put you in a room alone, and like, you know, you're stripped of your things. You don't have a lot of things to do. You have crayons, maybe. Like, I actually had a couple coloring books from ER stays, but like, it's just so like, it's just put me in a room alone by myself to think about all the things that brought me into the hospital. Like, it's so unhelpful. I hope that gets better at some point. Yes, exists with me at Koko. Yes, absolutely. I read a book actually called Demystifying BPD like a few years ago. Before I ever really, well, I think I've always had symptoms of BPD, but like in my young adulthood. Because I always kind of like gravitated towards that. I seem to just gravitate towards people with borderline for some reason. But as borderline myself, it's fine, whatever. But yeah, I read a book about it before. It was a good book. It was a pretty good book. I have it reviewed on my blog, actually, I think. Pretty sure I do. I think I read it back in like 2016, 2017. Awesome, Fisherman. I will definitely take you up on that about psychosis, because I definitely want to learn more about it. And it's just something I haven't got around to learning about, but it's something that I should. That'd be interesting. I know, for completed suicides, yeah. It's so, and I think the other thing with like suicide prevention stuff, particularly when it comes to completed suicides, because the media tends to think like, oh, you know, sharing what method somebody used to complete suicide is like such a no-no. Like, you're not supposed to do that, because and that's why even too, some of my boundaries for YouTube as well, I mean, even on Instagram and stuff too, is like, don't be super specific. If you are going to talk about struggles you've had with suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation, like, don't mention awesome, Fisherman. Sweet. I will take that up on that. Oh my gosh, Coco. Oh damn. Coco, that's intense. But yeah, Fisherman, I will definitely take you up on that. If I don't message you about it by the start of next week, message me about it on like Discord or something. Because I might forget. So, but yeah, I'll definitely reach out to you through Discord for sure. By like beginning of next week, because I might forget between then, and then I might remember. I might be able to Friday, but I might also not. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing yet. So my schedule. Sweet, awesome. Yeah, the psych ward ER really sucks. It really does. It's unfortunate. I hope that there can be some reform, not even in Canada and the U.S. and the world, because it is such a difficult thing to have to do. Like you're there to get help, but they're not helpful because they're not equipped to handle it. And especially everything with COVID happening and just the mental health crisis in the world and the state and the nation and everything, like, it's just not equipped to handle the amount of need there is for, mental health stigma to be stomped out, for suicide prevention awareness. Even what you were saying with, Chester Bennington and things like that, like a lot of the media tends to think, oh, we should like report what they use to hurt themselves. And it's like, no, that's a big thing that you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to have, specific, it's just not helpful. Because why, the internet especially, like I view it as like the internet especially is already can be so much a source of, you know how to, in a sense, to hurt oneself. And like I at least think of it as, at least now with my channel, like I don't want to be a how-to guide of how to hurt yourself. I'd rather be like, you know more general, just in like, somebody, completed suicide or took their own life or things like that. Like the language that's used is really important, and the methods just don't really, it doesn't help. And the internet can already be used as a how-to source, and unfortunately, and I would rather my space on the internet not have that and just be more of a how to get help, or how to, yeah, there's no shortage of self-destruction, absolutely. And like, that is a whole other issue as well. And I'm sure maybe even if you guys are interested in me covering that sometime in a video, like maybe how I changed from using the internet as a self-destruction source. And I mean, I still do a little bit, but it's more like eating disorder stuff that I look at now. But like how I used it from being like self-destruction to now being more positive or helpful for things. Um, yeah, exactly. There's actually a really good website that I found early on when I was struggling with ideation, suicidal ideation, where it's called metanoia.org. And it's such a beautiful website, and it's like about preventing suicide and just recognizing how much a suicidal crisis is a traumatic state even, and especially going through attempts, or thinking of attempting and then getting hospitalized and all of that stuff, like that is a trauma in itself. That is the type of trauma that I now can admit that I lived through, that I, at the hands of my mental health conditions, I've been through trauma. And I don't, I actually started thinking of this back in June, I think, where I think if we take the term trauma very loosely and focus it on the theme of losing control, like I think it can be argued that I think I can accept the fact that I went through childhood trauma, in the sense that I lost control over my physical body when it came to the scoliosis and the physical health conditions. Then when I was in college, the first time, like the first couple of years, I struggled with losing control of how I was handling my time and just overly procrastinating. And then when it came to the mental health conditions, I lost control over my mind, in a sense, and my mental health. And those series of control and series of even losing control, in the sense of when I started having more ideation and I started to actually plan it and I started to actually do things and get hospitalized and all these kinds of things. These are all traumas that I have accumulated, in a sense. And I can finally get to a point now where I can think of it that way and kind of realize, like, holy shit, like I think, I think in some way, kind of in a looser term, like, yeah, trauma in a way. So for me to even get to that point, I mean, it's been years since all like the scoliosis stuff happened, or even since like more of the mental health stuff happened and everything. But I definitely think like I definitely still have, like, I guess, trauma triggers, maybe, in a sense. Like, when it comes to the phrase, I don't know what to do, that's a huge trigger for me, because that's always, when I was, every time I was suicidal, I always said, like, I don't know what to do. And like, it was just the epitome of what a crisis was for me. So even when I have times where I'm struggling a little bit and I think of that phrase, I'm like, oh shit, I go right back into being, like, in that state. And I have a harder time being able to separate my thoughts and feelings. And I have a harder time to, even now, like, I still have a hard time to be able to be like, no, that's not happening. Like, it's not happening over again. Even with the relationship I just got out of, like, that was also, it felt like a trauma in a sense, because it just put me right back to losing control and just not knowing what to do with all these thoughts and feelings that I didn't want to feel, or I didn't want to, experience, in a sense. Yes, absolutely. Coco, for sure. I think I've like, there's definitely a part of my recovery, even to today, where, and I think this is also true for a lot of people, but like, there's so much that I, like, only realize, like, 2 years later, oh, I guess that was important, or oh, I guess this was traumatic, or I guess this was codependency, I guess this was something else. Like, I don't recognize it in the moment. I can't really, I haven't been able to catch it as much. But now that I have more time, and I've kind of grown more in my recovery, and I've had more time to just separate between myself and that situation, like, even with Luna, like, I was able, like, 2 years, even a little bit in 2018, when our friendship was ending, like, my therapist at the time was able to be like, dude, like, that's codependency, like, you need, and I'm like, no, it's not. And then, like, a year later, or a couple of years later, I was like, oh yeah, that's codependency, that's definitely codependency. Like, I don't know, it takes a while before I really kind of open up. And again, like, even this thing about the losing control trauma, in a sense, like, that I think is a big crux to a lot of my struggles, like, over my lifetime, in a sense. And before June 2022, I would not have admitted that. And it was actually, I was driving to go hang out with my friend Elena, and I was like, holy shit, like, I think that is a really big, thing. Like, I never allowed myself to really think about it and be like, I think that could be arguably trauma, in a sense. I mean, no one died, no one was dying or anything, but, like, trauma isn't always just that. And what I'm trying to say too, for the trauma part, is like, I mean, I still have memories where I was hospitalized from the university's counseling, that I was picked up by ambulance, and sometimes I see an ambulance go by and I'm immediately, like, in the back of one, or sometimes I see it and I'm like, oh yeah, it's just an ambulance, I wonder where they're going, or something. But I have that sort of mixed state, I guess you could say, of, like, sometimes things trigger me, sometimes they don't. And this book definitely was triggering, like, in a whole other way. Like, I was not a fan of that, but I'll get into a review of that at some point. Um, yeah, but definitely, I think the big thing is that just remembering that recovery is possible. Suicidal crises are time sensitive, and there is help out there, and there are people who want to support you and will be there to support you. And if you haven't had a good family upbringing, you can have a found family, and things really do get better. And sometimes a lot of it is, eventually, as the particularly in the case of suicidal ideation, as the crises get less frequent or just less intense, the more time and the more coping strategies, because suicidal crises are really when the pain outweighs the ability to cope with that pain. And so finding the tools and using, if it's medications, if it's using medications, going to a hospital, going to therapy, finding more healthier coping strategies, weeding off from unhealthy coping strategies to healthier coping strategies, all of those things, all of those factors, and time and effort and commitment to recovery, like, all of those things will allow for a brighter future. And so many people out there too have had a suicidal thought at some point in their life, And a lot of them do go on to live happy, healthy lives and, you know, maybe still struggle with it in some aspect, or it comes up, you know, there's more maintenance of recovery in a sense, but, you know, a lot of people do get through it. So there is hope. There is definitely hope. And hope can stand for hold on, pain ends as well. I always like that quote. But I'm going to get back into the chat because I've been off on a tangent again. So thanks for listening to me talk, guys. Like, it's been a solid hour. It feels like it hasn't been. Yeah, a lot of people don't. Yeah. Even like there's a lot of like for some reason hot potato topics like trauma or suicidality or homicidality for sure. Like a lot of people just don't want to. A lot of people in the general public, I think, don't know how to react to it. So they either try to like push it away, like, oh no, you don't feel that, like don't say that stuff, like don't say that, like that's horrible, like don't say that. And it's like a dismissive way, and whether they intend for it to be or not, it is a dismissive way. Or even like in this book, when it came to completed suicide, like, you know, the main character at the very end of the book, which I hated. If the book hadn't covered this, I wouldn't have rated it as bad as I did. But because it's a fiction novel too, I can kind of lay into it a little bit heavier because it's not like an actual thing that happened. But essentially the main character was like, oh yeah, my dad, who her dad had completed suicide, my dad told me years prior to him completing suicide that he was suicidal, and well, yes, it was inappropriate for him to do that because of the relationship in a sense, but like it made me so mad because it was like, oh yeah, he kept telling me he was going to kill himself, and then, oh my god, he actually killed himself. I can't believe he did that. Like, he was telling you that he was gonna, like, what? Like, and again, I think it depends so much on how much awareness is with, like, the topic and everything, and I think there really isn't a lot of education on it, and it should be taught more. Suicide prevention should be something that is talked about more and is more accessible to people, and just mental health first aid in a sense, but that was just something I got really mad about in the book, but... Really, Coco, that's intense. I know it's weird how denial kind of protects us in a way, and then how when we allow ourselves to break down those barriers to be like, wait a second, was that right, or was that something that I actually experienced? Did I actually go through that? Yeah, it's wild. I'm so sorry you had that experience, Fisherman. Luckily for me, I've never been taken in handcuffs or anything. I've had a wellness check done before. So that's a level of nothing like 4 police officers showing up to your house. Yeah, that's intense. I probably because I am a white woman, I do have privilege in a sense. I don't have to be as afraid of police officers, and the police officer experiences I've had with my mental health have been positive. There was one time in fall 2016 when I relapsed. I went 9 months without a hospitalization, and then I was driving home and I was having a lot of thoughts, and I went speeding down this. I was angry at myself for not doing something, and then like not acting on something. So I went speeding down. Really interesting. That's interesting, Coco. That's interesting. But yeah, I went speeding down the road, and then it just so happened I was honestly like less than a mile away from my house, maybe a mile and a half. And it just so happened there was a police officer driving by this way, and I was going this way. I saw him turn around, put on his lights, and come after me. And he came up to my window, and he was like, "What's going on? Like, do you know how fast you were going? Blah blah blah." And I was like, I was just bawling. I was like, "Oh my god! Like, I just wanna kill myself." And he was like, okay. So he was like, he went on to his intercom and he was like, it was like walkie-talkie thing, and he was like, all right, you know, blah blah blah, whatever code, and then send an ambulance, and we're gonna, yeah, that was traumatic. Honestly, that was traumatic. And then that other time, also in fall 2017, when I had the wellness check, it was because I called my university at the time. When I was first diagnosed and I went through my mental health struggles, they didn't have like a crisis sort of support specific. Like I would go a lot of the time to crisis appointments, like on the spot appointments to meet with a therapist and everything. And then a lot of those times I got hospitalized from there. I got picked up by ambulance from university, taken to the nearest hospital, and started a new process of hospitalization. But in fall 2017, I called the newer like crisis oriented thing from the university, and I was like, hey, like I'm really suicidal. I'm just gonna go buy something, and I'm just gonna whatever. And they were like, I talked to them for like maybe like half an hour or 45 minutes. And then they were like, how do you feel now? Like, how do you feel? And I was like, nah, I think I'm still going to go act on that thing. And they were like, okay, we're going to like go to get to your house because we're doing a wellness check. And I was like, oh shit. So that was my wellness check. And 4 police officers showed up to my house. They're like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, and my parents didn't know about it. It was a whole thing. Like, it was, I mean, Malka was still a baby at that point, and like honestly, I remember she went down the stairs. We were in the like little foyer from the front door, and she saw all the police officers, and she got so nervous and like excited because she was like, oh, like new people, and she got excited and stuff, and then she like peed on the floor, and like there were like 4 officers at the door. It was so intense. And then the ambulance came by and they picked me up, and then I was hospitalized. That was my 5-week hospitalization stay, and it was wild. But that was actually the time too that I got ECT. The one and only time I got ECT, but in that hospitalization. And then actually that hospital that I went to, Unit Z, they actually torn it down. The whole hospital, they've torn it down, which is just sad because it was a good hospitalization like place and stuff. But yeah, sorry. I guess trauma memories is something we're going to talk about in this stream. Sorry about that. Ooh, Koko, that's heavy. Ooh, that is so heavy. How did you get through that? What happened when you said that to them? There was one time, I talked about this in another video before that I haven't edited, but there was, I think it was after I had ECT, I was stable for a couple of months, and then the depression came back worse. And this was the first time in 2018 that it was truly depression. I think if I had actually followed through on that suicide plan, I don't think I would have made it. Unfortunately, that's a whole other trauma and learned information that I didn't want to know. I could have gone my whole life without knowing, but found out through a weird way, a medical drama show, and I'm like, oh, okay. But that was also the first time I wrote like 6 articles for the newspaper because I wrote about my recovery and everything. They said no, and they said, oh my god. I know. Honestly though, like inappropriate affect wise, I could totally, there were so many times I was in the ER and I would be laughing about like my suicidal plans and stuff, and they would just look at me like I have 3 heads. They're like, you're not all the way there, are you? And I'm like, no. It's so bad. But I remember I had put up I think I filmed a video, I think that just talked about some of my journey with ideation. And I wrote, at the time in January 2018, I wrote like 6 articles for the newspaper, and they were all really dark and depressing and really, really bad. I was really struggling. And it was actually one of those articles, not the article I thought would be alarming, but and now with perspective, I'm like, yeah, that was a dick move, but definitely a dick move. Anywho, the university had an emergency meeting because they thought I wrote a public suicide note as an article, and also a good representation of how bad off I was. I said in the article how I was gonna try to. At the end of the article, I was talking about how I was gonna try to do recovery for like a week and see if it was not my best moment. It was a very ill, like really struggling Raquel moment, and it was traumatic for other people too, which I feel bad about still that happened and that it went the way it did, because I had said in the article that I was like suicidal. I had a plan, I had a method, I was gonna, and in the article at the end of it, I said that I was gonna wait a week. And to me, as a suicidal person, a week was like waiting a year. That's like saying like, oh, I'll kill myself next year. Like it was so much could happen. I could change my mind. Everything could happen. So yeah, absolutely, Fisherman. I know, it's so. That's why I think about it too. Like I'm probably very lucky as a white woman that, you know, I haven't had to worry about like police officers and things in that sense, because, or especially being like a mental health crisis like out in public. And yeah, I can't. I know the story is different for others who are of a different race or ethnicity, and I can't even begin to imagine the further actual definite real trauma that comes out of that when, it is those instances. But my heart goes out to anybody who has to struggle with that, or has struggled with that, or fears struggling with that, or anything to that effect, because yeah, it's bad. It can be really bad. Um, but yeah, so I wrote that article, and then I said I was gonna wait a week, and to me, a week was a year, but to everyone else, it was like hours, which is what it is. And so the university had like an emergency meeting. Everybody sat down, like genuinely. The students who read it, who were one of them was one of my friends, and they read it. Like I think they were in the meeting. I don't know, but it was like Luna and the director of the newspaper, and then like I forget what the term for it is, like the dean of students or something. Not the dean of students, but like, yeah, Fisherman. I know that is honestly such a whole other thing. I should write. I've been wanting to kind of read more about like Black Lives Matter, or like from like books or art from other like races and ethnicities. I mean, I don't necessarily know. Sometimes I don't ever like look. I try not to look at like what like the back image of like the author can be or something. So I don't tend to pick my books like that, but I think I'm getting closer and closer to learning more about Black Lives Matter, or learn more about, um, like other races and other failures of the psychiatric system, and all of that. But I haven't quite got there yet. But I definitely, there's been a few books that by some like Asian American or even just Asian writers that I've been wanting to read from the library, but I'm not in good standing yet, so I can't quite do that. But yeah, I can. It's wild. It's very sad. It's very sad, and very difficult for sure to just even think about it, and especially once all the 2020 stuff happened and everything. It's tough. I actually recently I'm in season 14 of Grey's Anatomy, and I actually saw the episode that where the little black boy got shot and he died, and how Bailey, one of the doctors, and Ben Warren, they were telling, you know, his Ben and Bailey are married, but Bailey had a son from a former marriage, and they're all black, and they're telling the son how to react if he ever gets caught with like police are nearby, or like what to do as a black person because of the racial injustices. It's a very sad, moving scene and really emotional. I definitely would recommend that episode. I don't remember what episode it was actually, but it's season 14 of the show. But it was even just that predating. I don't know exactly what year that was, season 14, but even that predating all the George Floyd stuff like that, you know, just fucked up. But really, Koko. Ugh. That's so sad. That's awful. Sorry, this stream is getting really sad. I don't mean for it to be like that. I'll switch it soon. But I'm just gonna try to. Yeah, I mean, these are definitely issues that are in the world, unfortunately, and I think I'm probably lucky that I also live in Massachusetts, where I know in Boston they have like, I think they call it pet teams too. They have like, even like with NAMI stuff, to go back to NAMI, like they have presentations for, about mental health experiences, like peers getting to share their stories and being able to present that story to crisis officers and crisis intervention teams and like police officers who are being trained in how to deal with mental health. So I mean, there's progression in that sense, but it's awful that I know I know someone who has borderline who lives in Tennessee. Like I know them online, and like the amount of times that she has been put in handcuffs and put in the back of a police car to go to a hospital to get hospitalized is just like, that's just so traumatic and so fucked up. I went in the back of a police car once. It was a campus police, but I pushed the emergency button. I'm like, I'm in crisis. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I need to get to the counseling center, but I don't feel safe walking there. And they're like, okay, we'll come pick you up. And I'm like, great. Very uncomfortable seats. But that was wild. But just back to that article thing, I'll wrap that up real quick. It was just, eventually what happened was there was a whole sort of thing, and then doesn't count. Yeah, it doesn't count, right? Yeah. University police, yeah, no. But yeah, they had a whole meeting. I was told, I think I reached out to one of the people from the university, and at one point they were like, hey, like, do you need a wellness check? And I was like, oh gosh, no, like I'm good, like I'll just hold off. And then I wound up having that conversation with my friend that I talked about in my NAMI walks 2022 video, over text. And I like text in the video, not text in messages, but I had that conversation with her, and that was really impactful and really made me question, did the story have to end the way that I was thinking of, and could it get better? And the next day I went to Luna actually that night, but then he was kind of weird, so I was like, I didn't tell him, and then I didn't want to go to the counseling center, and then I was like, I'll just go to my day program tomorrow and I'll tell them about it, and then I did. I didn't know the whole point of the story, and then that's when I got into the last. I'm so sorry. You're ending on such a horrible note. I'm so sorry. Yes, I will definitely message you, Fisherman. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for chatting with me as much as you did. Like, I really appreciate that. That was such a good conversation. I am going to shift into ending this on a lighter note soon. I'm sorry that it was kind of me just rambling all about my trauma. I don't know. That was weird, but sorry about that. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. I really appreciated your conversation, and I am going to shift it back into the present moment soon, so that we can kind of do self-care in that sense. But thank you so much, and I will definitely message you by the beginning of next week. Yes, but Koko, you'll be here maybe still. So, anywho, long story short, I eventually I started my last hospitalization at that point. on Valentine's Day 2018, and I was hospitalized, and that was my last hospitalization, which was 4.5 years ago, and things have been so much better since then. And the part I was trying to get to was I actually had someone, I had made a video, I guess, back in like 2018, and like 3 or 4 months later, another channel saw my video, which was sweet. I thought like, for me at least, I have a different kind of opinion on like reporting someone's like tweet for like, you know, ideation, or, you know, doing like a wellness check or things like that. I have a different perspective on it than maybe I think most people in the mental health field or in the mental health community online have about it for some reason. I don't know why, but I had someone on YouTube who watched my video and called 911 and reported that I was suicidal, which I wasn't. But like I think I posted it later or something. Like the video, it was like there was a 3-month gap between I posted the video then, and then this guy saw it and reported me and like called 911. And then I freaked out because I thought I was having to deal with it by myself, or that I should deal with it by myself. So I was like, oh my god, there's gonna be a wellness check. This police officer is gonna show up at my house. I was freaking out. I called the non-emergency line in my town and was like, hey, so this guy made a video about my video. It was a whole thing, and they actually did send someone over to just make sure everything was fine. And I just, at that point, my parents came home because they were out of the house, and it was a whole thing. And they came to my house and they were like, hey, like, is everything fine? I'm like, yeah, it was just, you know, someone just got really worried about me. And that was the only other, like, I guess, fear that I have. Like, and actually, there was actually something that happened this year in 2022. So for the guy who made that video, he did take it down. I asked him to take it down. He did, and that was fine. Like, I never had any other issues. And he said that he had tended to do that with other people too. So I don't know all the history of that. I don't think actually his local 911 took it that seriously, which is maybe another problem. But in 2022, I think it was back in like, I have a card about it. I have a card that I've made that I haven't written in, but I'm gonna do at some point. And my mom was sick, and she accidentally hit the, you know, on an iPhone how you can like call, there's that little shortcut for like calling, you know, 911 or whatever. She accidentally hit it, and I was actually, unbeknownst to her, I was kind of struggling. I was like kind of in a crisis, but I was safe, but I was kind of in a crisis, and I was trying to figure out like what to do and everything. And I see a car pull up, and I was like, what's going on? It was like 12 o'clock at night, and I saw a car pull up, and then like a few minutes later, there was a knock at the door, and I was like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? I go downstairs, and there's a police officer there, and he was like, oh, hey, we just are double checking, making sure everything's fine. Like, you know, sounds like somebody accidentally called, and we just have to double check to make sure everything's fine. And I was like, again, freaked out, because I was like, oh my god, it's like a wellness check, but I'm like, nothing happened, I don't know. And then, yeah, I just spoke to them, and then it was actually funny too, because that time Mocha came down, and it was funny, he had like cologne or something on, and like Mocha didn't really like him, and she kind of came near him. He kind of like tried to like bend down to like touch her and stuff, and like she was like, no, didn't like it, growled at him, and then ran back upstairs and ran to bed. And it was wild. But like, my mom like explained the situation, whatever, and it was fine. And it was just like, it was just weird how the universe worked in that sense. Like, even though I was like struggling like emotionally, but I was safe completely. Like, just the odds of that happening were just so kind of out there in the universe, and it actually really helped me. I think I wound up texting the crisis text line or something after, and then, you know, soon after that, and, you know, just got myself help and worked on my recovery. And then I have that card that I wanted to write to the officer to like a thank you card for them unbeknownstly showing up to help me, in a sense. Like, it was divine intervention, in a sense. Distraction, yes. I think we should probably end on a lighter note as well. So I want to say thank you for everyone who came by, who watched the live stream as it was live. Oh my gosh, it's been a solid hour and a half. I even just looked at the time. I can't believe it's almost 8 o'clock like that. Thank you so much for coming by. I want to try to end on a lighter note because we definitely touched on some really heavy things, and I definitely didn't know we were going to touch on heavy things, and I know I probably did some compulsions, to be honest, with OCD, with all these things, so sorry about that, I guess. And I know, I mean, I think it was good conversation. I think we covered a lot of ground and got to learn more about me and my recovery and my journey and all of those things. And I probably will stay offline for the rest of today. I have some messages from you to answer. So I will do that. I will network a little bit. Also, you mentioned in your comment about self-care, and I actually got this little, it was a self-care kit. It actually came with this, and it came with these self-care cards. And it was like, I got it at Barnes & Noble, and it was $10. It was on like the bargain section. And I would actually love to do, it's a nice book. I think it's 96 pages, it said. And it's just like a little book on like types of self-care. It has a lot of pictures in it. It's just really like easy to read text and just ideas of what self-care is for the body, mind, asking for help, what self-care is versus what it's not. So you mentioned doing like self-care like shorts and such, and I definitely want to do that with some of these prompts. The cards are pretty cool. It just so happened that I wound up getting this. I went to Barnes & Noble, so I mean, it's not super surprising, but there's like little cards like that. This. I don't know how to focus it when it's on this screen. I don't remember. You probably can't read it. Nothing compares to you. You do you. Be confident in your choices. Don't let envy or comparison dampen your own personal joy and outlook. I think the first one I read was ditch the status and anxiety. Worrying about what your friends, neighbors, or even celebrities have is only going to make you miserable. Choose your own path, live within your own means, and be happy in your own skin. And then I have some that I saved to the front of it that I don't remember which one it was. But this one says, bask in the sun, think like a cat, and take a moment to stretch out in the sun while still being sun smart. Close your eyes and really feel the warmth of the sun, recharge from those life-giving rays. And it just has little self-care isn't selfish. There's a little lady on it. So that was really cool. I ordered it that I want to try to, I think it is this way. So this will be the first one I do. It says, move your body, find a physical activity you actually enjoy. Exercise is great for our mental and physical well-being, but the gym isn't for everyone. If you move in a way that you enjoy, you'll be more likely to keep it up. So I would actually like to do, it's a bunch of really cool things, and I would like to do, I have Just Dance 2020 on my Switch. I actually have a couple of videos I filmed on my Switch. Well, not like on my Switch, but like I filmed me of my Switch. Does that make sense? I was playing Animal Crossing. I have a couple of videos that I can eventually edit and upload. But I have Just Dance 2020 on my Switch that I could, if I put my new camera, my filming camera on my tripod, I could film myself dancing to it, and that'll be like a fun kind of thing. And that'll be a nice homage back to minus hula hooping. That's awesome. That's fantastic. I also can't dance at all. As I can't sing and I can't dance, but we do it anyway. But I can do little like shorts on that, like probably just minute shorts and then like shorter shorts on that. all these little self-care things. That'll be good. What else? That's hula hooping. That's fancy. I think I tried jump rope a little bit, but never really got like too good at it. What other exercise? I should really do stretches more. That would also really help my back, but I don't. So. Oh, yoga. Yoga is something I have been wanting to do for a solid 2 years. Like I actually, before the pandemic, my mom and I went to like a yoga class for a little bit, and that was actually pretty helpful. There's a channel that I follow, but haven't actually watched much of her content. But I follow her here on YouTube, and she has yoga videos, and there's even chair yoga. Chair yoga would be a good thing to start. I have a chair over there for my desk that actually looks like a chair again because I took the stuff off. But I've always wanted to watch some of her videos on yoga and like film myself doing some of her yoga practices and like making content out of that, which reminds me, we could talk about adulting. My therapist wants me to adult more because I don't adult very much as an adult, so I need to work on that. So I'm gonna start doing more videos about adulting. So like just bringing you along, like honestly, my channel, like way back in like 2017 and stuff, like I mean, I genuinely made videos where I was washing my dishes. Like if I can make it into content, it just gives me more incentive to actually do it and make it kind of fun and just make it into something that I can like do and try. And my therapist is definitely telling me about how I'm definitely a lot more big picture now, but definitely bring it back to those small progress steps. And like if I try to cook spaghetti, like it might not come out right. I might burn the spaghetti, but at least I tried and I did it, and I'm working towards adulting more. So my mom is saying for me to, she was in my therapy session with me. What did I have therapy? I had therapy yesterday. So my mom was there with me, and so she was saying, I've only had like phone therapy. Since the pandemic, I've only been over the phone. Is anyone else in therapy? Do you actually go see your therapist, or is it still virtual or over the phone? Mine's still over the phone. But my mom was saying that I could do laundry like twice a month to start with, so like once every 2 weeks or so, or like more things like that if I do smaller loads. But our like washing machine is like fucked up, so like that's the biggest hesitation I have with it. But yeah, I want to do more adulting videos essentially. Honestly, can totally picture myself being like, let's clean my toilet today. That would be me. I would make a video out of that, honestly. Yeah, I would do that. Mine is on phone. I like it. What do you mean? Like exercise or like what part? What part are you? Where in the conversation are you commenting on? Yeah, I don't know. So adulting would be fun. I have an old baking video. If I look at anything tonight, I might look at my old baking video I did. Back in 2020, I filmed myself baking flourless chocolate chip peanut butter cookies. It was really cool. It came out pretty well, actually, too. I should try to bake them again. I don't remember anything. Oh, you're still on the phone. Oh, therapy. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. Yes. Yeah. I don't really. I guess I've gotten used to it, honestly, on the phone. I've gotten more used to it. I still like take, when I do sometimes in therapy, take notes. I take it in my journal. I have a lot of notes from this past session. So it's been so long since I was in like a physical therapy office in a sense because of the pandemic, but maybe one day. I know my psychiatrist for the beginning of the pandemic, like over the summer, he was still seeing like patients in the office, but now it's also all over the phone too. So Yeah. But yeah, I have an old baking video, which was really funny because I didn't know how small of a cookie to make. So the original shot is like I made a cookie size this big on like the, you know, the tray. And then I was like, I told my mom, I was like, I don't think these look right. And she's like, no, they're supposed to be like this big. And I was like, oh, that makes more sense. It would have taken forever to bake, I think. But I'd like to get into baking. I think that might be fun. And learning how to do spaghetti would be good. Spaghetti. That'd be good. And mac and cheese. Like box stuff. So, ooh, oh, fuck. I should make some soup today. I forgot I have soup. I am very tempted. I might make some soup. I mean, I might not make the soup, but like I might have my mom make the soup. But maybe I'll make the soup. I don't know. If I use the microwave, I might make the soup. But I should. Oh, that's a really good idea. I didn't think of that. I am getting hungry as well, which is probably a good thing. No, I haven't. I'm not on TikTok, but that's interesting. I could probably look at it. They usually have like compilations on YouTube and stuff. It's like, you mean like if you put like a glass on like the cookie and then like get the like the shape of the glass to do it, right? Like that. That is a good idea. I should have soup tonight. I think we have some mac and cheese and chicken left over, but I should definitely make some soup because I got some good soup the other day, like from the store. Ooh, what about like grocery shopping? We could do a vlog like grocery shopping. I'd have to film myself, but that might be interesting. I could do like, I don't know. Can you actually film in stores? I don't know. I found this. I've been meaning to go to the library this week and never have. I found like, oh, interesting. That's interesting, Coco. I'm gonna have to look into that. Oh, that sounds fancy. I know we have my mom has a little like scoop thing that you can do to get the cookie shape, but there's also a Instagram account that I follow who does a lot of like, I think it's the Cheerful Baker. She does a lot of like baking related videos and like decorative stuff. It's really cool. It's really really awesome. She has like her own like what do they call it? Like the shapes that you can get, like the cookie cutter shapes that she sells and stuff. I'll have to look into that. That sounds really good. Maybe I'll make some cookies, like a couple of different cookies a month or something. That'd be really fun. Just to get my tripod and stuff and everything, but that'd be fun. I wouldn't be able to do it live, but maybe one day when I'm actually better at doing it, I can do it live. That'd be fun. Maybe I can someday maybe someday when my parents are out of the house, I can do a live stream where I try to bake or something. That'd be fun. I'm definitely gonna have soup today. I've decided. I'm having soup. I think I have like a chicken noodle soup and like a maybe minestrone soup or something. And yeah, so I found something from the library, one of the libraries I go to, that actually has a policy on filming at the library and how that's a no-no, and a progress meter. Yeah. Yes. And it had like no policies on like filming at the library and like not to get people in the shot and everything, which is interesting because I never really like, for some reason I never really thought about it. I've been wanting to kind of film at the library, like film like some of the halls or like film some of the things, but I'm not entirely sure if I should or shouldn't do that. I don't know, maybe. But I know I film at my local library a bunch, but like usually it's just me. Like I think it's different if you're filming like yourself versus like filming with the prices and filming other people in the store and like things like that. I think it can be like a different issue in a sense. But maybe I'll take you guys like a vlog or something. I have also on my backed up Tetrabyte, I have 2 other uni vlogs that I did when I was still in university that I should edit and figure out. Interesting. There are ideas. I should write these ideas down. because God knows I'm going to forget them. So let me write them down. I just remember something. Oh, I can write it. No. I was going to write it here. I have a video that I filmed that I wrote these other video ideas on, but I don't really have a lot of space. So I'm going to write it somewhere else. I'll write in my goals and ideas for August. I don't think this has any. Just depends on the story. Yeah, I definitely. I'll take you guys shopping sometime, maybe. Maybe if I go to like Target or something. I don't know. I'd have to figure out if some of the. Where did I pick up my buckets? I'd have to figure out if some of the stores are more like. If some of the names of like if it's like Walmart or like Target, that's kind of like well known like nationwide in a sense, versus like maybe some of like the smaller grocery stores that might only be specific to my little area. Like I would have to just be careful and like not giving out like doxing myself in a sense. So that would be something I would try to figure out first before I actually film that I figure that out. But maybe like exploring like coupons and like doing like, or even just like doing it like I could film myself being like, hey, I'm gonna do some grocery shopping today and I'm gonna buy X, Y, and Z and then like see what I actually buy. I don't know. I could make something. I could probably make some shorts out of it actually too. What am I writing now? I guess technically I could write this in my phone, but I'm not going to. So, and then okay, so I wrote that down. Sorry if you hear any background noise. So I wrote down adulting series for either shorts and videos, laundry. I legitimately wrote toilet cleaning. That'll be fun. Ooh, what about like exploring like what the I should do more room care videos soon. I have to update a room tour. I haven't done that in a while. But I have a bunch of old room care videos, and so I could do like a room tour, like of my bedroom, or like maybe a couple of different areas in the house that I frequent a lot, which is mostly my bedroom. But maybe like what does the bathroom look like, and like that kind of thing. I don't know. And then baking and cooking, so different cookies per month. That'd be fun to do different recipes. I found I can go back to where that flourless peanut butter cookie dough one is. Like what site that was. I definitely printed it out, like how to make the recipe. So yeah, I think it was like White Kitchen or like Kitchen. I don't think it was Kitchen Stories, but it was like maybe kitchen stories. I don't know, it was a blog or website about the recipe. Maybe if I do it like twice a month, do like different cookies or something, that'd be fun. I have somewhere, I think in my box right over here, I think I have a like baking cookie treat like cookbook thing. I will look into that. And other things I could do, when I become good and more proficient at baking or cooking, I can try to do a live stream about it when my parents are out of the house. And then also like grocery shopping, libraries, and maybe just maybe not like bills. I kind of wrote bills in quotation marks, but maybe just like not obviously showing you like information and stuff, but just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna pay this bill today or whatever, and like, you know, do like a shot or two, not of the actual like thing, but just like I'm gonna, you know, today at like by 4 o'clock I'm gonna pay my electricity bill, and like then like when 4 o'clock roll around, do like an accountability thing, like did I actually pay it or did I not or whatever. I don't know, just little things like that. Because I also think I got the idea from my therapist. Again, this is all going to be adulting and like progress stuff and baby steps. So like, I'm not going to be super proficient at it and 100% A+ right off the bat. It's going to take a lot of time and effort and commitment and a lot of that and things I need to do that I haven't done in my life. So all of that. Exactly. It'll be adulting together. I think that's a fantastic phrase of it. Adulting together. That's going to be the title of the series. I hate doing those. I know, honestly, I don't even pay that many bills, but like I pay my credit card a bunch, but yeah, that would be really cool. Like obviously I wouldn't show like the bills themselves, but like just doing even like a quick like, hey, I'm gonna pay my bill. My goal is to pay my bill by X date at this time. And then actually when it rolls around, how did it go? And I could even do like videos on or like shorts how it went and like did I accomplish the goal? Did I not? Because when I was talking to my therapist about it, she would say again, remember progress, baby steps, things like that. You know, don't go so big picture like becoming completely a professional baker by like the end of tomorrow, but like doing the baby steps. And then I was telling her like, I could see myself writing like a less than 500 words about how it went. Like, what happened? Like, almost like a past cope ahead in a sense, and even just a cope ahead for like a sentence or two on how to do it better the next time or improve on it, or what did I learn, or what was hard about it, what came up like thoughts and feelings, and we can make it into a thing. I like adulting together. I think that's a very good series title. Also, if this community ever becomes more of like a fandom, we need to figure out a name for you guys. I think Little Lighthouses would be cute because alliteration. Only because of alliteration, but also I think that'd be kind of cute. But yeah. Sweet. I feel like we have made progress. I'm excited. I think I'm most excited about soup right now. I'm most excited about soup. I could also do more of the healthier living things, which would go into like exercise and like some of like what I eat kind of in a week. That was a series I tried to do and then never edited, which is the story of this channel. But I think we have made a lot of progress in this live stream, honestly. Like I'm gonna wrap it up now, but thank you to everyone who came by, and for anybody who sees this after it's posted, feel free to like it or comment on it or see the chat as it went on, and hopefully this ending of the live stream is okay. I will put a trigger warning in the description for it later when it goes up, just to some of the topics that we talked about and everything. But thanks for listening to me, and thanks for being here, and thank you for putting up with the fact that I always look at myself rather than you guys. I'm still working on it. One day I'll get it. I'll be better at it. But yeah. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing everything that you guys did. And I will message, I will work more on getting more involved on Discord and answering messages. I probably won't edit anything tonight anymore because I edited a lot today. But I think Adulting Together is a fantastic title for it. Like, let's go on an adulting journey together. Like, I don't know. Like, it's. I think it'll be. If I actually do make it a series and everything, I think it would be fun and just different content and just also getting at it, also accountability and stuff. And I don't know. I find I can make anything into content, and if I make it into content, I have more incentive and more motivation to actually do it. So it just helps in that sense too. It's a coping strategy. So thank you all for being here and listening to me rant and rave and talk all about all the things, all of the things. And yeah, I really appreciate it. And it was really good. And I'm going to have soup. And I'm going to take a break from any more editing, even though I know in my head I'm like, I want to edit more, but I'm going to not. I have to figure out what group I'm going to do tomorrow. Yeah, I have to figure out what group I'm going to do for work tomorrow. I have work Thursday evening. Friday, I will be back. If it's a video, I have to do it. Exactly, right? Like, it's just, I don't know what it is. It gives so much more, incentive for me to do it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a video out of it? Let's do it. I don't know. I'm still maybe young in my infancy of video making, that making content out of it and being able to post it or edit it in the future. I don't know. It's just such a fun thing and gets me to do stuff that I don't always want to do, which most of the time I've been avoiding. So, but I don't know. I think it'd be fun. And something I can say that I am actually starting to do a little bit more, or I've always been horrible when it comes to teeth hygiene, honestly. It's just I never made it a habit, and I have lots of cavities, lots of fillings, and all this kind of stuff. Anywho, I am starting to floss. I have the little floss picks, and I have been starting to floss. I'm doing it once every couple of days or so. It's still in its infancy stages, but I am starting to. I had my mom buy another big pack of them. It's 120 of them. And it's also mint flavored, which I don't really taste honestly that much, but I am starting to floss. So improvement. We're getting there. And yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna put on some lotion too. I'm gonna put on my strawberry soda lotion. Yes, absolutely. And it would also be a mindfulness kind of thing. Because then we could chat, or you could just watch me as I wash my dishes, or listen to me chat, or listen to the music I play if I actually don't get copyright flagged for it and such. Or then I don't know, just opens the door for community and conversation and just distraction, and just if I listen to music while I do it, then you can listen to me do it in the background as while you do your dishes. Who knows, it could be a whole thing. There's just so much possibility with it, which is really fun. And so I'm gonna put this on, put this lotion on. I should also get out my. This is my Triathlon Mania prevention bag, hair pulling prevention bag. I have my other lotion in here. I didn't smell this one in a while. Cucumber melon, so good. Hashtag not sponsored by Bath and Body Works, but it just reminds me of going to Florida and going to the spas at the hotel or something, and the fancy water they have with fruit and stuff inside. It's just the smell transports me to spa days with this one. I finally had my massage too. That was great. That went really well. And then strawberry soda is more sweet. I don't know which one. Do I want to smell like cucumber melons, or do I want to smell like strawberry soda? Why not smell like both? Ooh, I also got another makeup bag too that I'm actually using for makeup, because most of these makeup bags I own, I don't use for makeup. I use for everything else. But I have a new one that I bought. So, yes. Anywho, I could honestly probably keep going on and on and on forever. So I'll spare you that. I'll spare my voice that. And nice voice crack. But I have to figure out what group I'm going to do tomorrow for work. I have work tomorrow on Thursday. Then I'm off Friday, so I will be back online. And then Saturday, Sunday, I have work evenings. And then I think I work again Tuesday, so Monday I should be off again. And then I might have a vacation. So I'm excited, and it'll be so much fun. And yeah, I'm very happy now. I think this is the happiest I've ever been after a live stream. Like, anytime I've done a live stream, which I mean hasn't been that often anyway, but I haven't done a live stream in like 2 months. So to do a live stream again was really great, and I feel more like enlightened, and like I learned more about some of you guys. And yes, have a great week, Koko. Definitely, absolutely. I will do another live stream also this month. I don't know when exactly, but I will do another one. And I just feel really good. I feel really, really good. And I got to find out some things, and it was really enlightening. And I feel really happy. And I'm going to get soup. And I'm going to change my wallflower because my wallflower needs to be changed. So thank you so much. And I appreciate all of your efforts, all of your conversation, all of your engagement, all of your feedback. And I will continue to make videos and do these things and make shorts that are actually shorts. And I hope you guys have a great Thursday. If you're still, I guess it depends what time zone you're in, but if you happen to be seeing this on tomorrow or the next Thursday or a future Thursday, hope you have a good Thursday. I will see you again on Friday, and hopefully you guys all have a good weekend as well. So thank you so much. As always, stay safe, take care, be well, much love and light to you, and I will see you very soon. I'll give like a second or two to just wrap it up.